Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be discussing how you can start up a weed eating business at a young age, probably anywhere from 10 to as old as you want. And I'm going to run you through the steps with that, and I'll give you some tips and recommendations along the way. Let's dive right in. Alrighty guys, so if you are planning on starting a weed eating business, of course the first thing you're going to want to do is get everything you need for that business. So there's going to be three main things that you need: a weed eater, um, a small gas can, and string for the weed eater. Choices when it comes to weed eater. You can get um, down the very bottom, like cheaper grade weed eaters. You can go all the way up to commercial grade. It's just like lawnmowers, pickup trucks, anything like that. So first off, one that I wanted to show you guys, just as an example, is this Hyper Tough 17-inch curved shaft gas string trimmer. I think this is about as cheap as you can get new as a weed eater. This one's at Walmart. There's millions of different brands. You'll just have to browse, see what you like. Maybe ask some friends, family, see what they use, what they'd recommend. But this one runs about $98, a little bit less than 100, so that's not too bad at all. Um, One thing to note when it comes to weed eaters, the two main different types of weed eaters are a straight shaft, which is this part right here, this metal thing where the shaft goes through that turns the weed eater string, and you can get one that's straight, so it's just a straight pipe, which I'll show you an example here in a minute, or you can get one that's bent like that, and it's 100% just a preference, whichever one you prefer to use, and whichever one you think works better. I'm more of a straight shaft kind of guy, but that's completely up to you. Alrighty guys, so next up on our weed eater choices is an electric weed eater. There's millions of brands of them. This is just an example one. But they have some that take batteries, just like a drill or a saw nowadays. You just get like your 20 volt, 18 volt, 60 volt battery, slide it on there, and you're good to go until that battery dies. And then you just recharge the battery because they're lithium ion. And then whenever you want to weed eat again, you should have a full charge and you'll be ready to go. The only thing you're going to want to consider with electric weed eaters is um, if the battery life will be long enough for what you're doing. So if you're going to weed eat this huge ditch, it's going to take 3 hours. Obviously, one battery won't last that long. But if it's a 10 minute, 15-minute job, it should last that long. Um, it all depends on the brand and size of battery and how much power it's drawing from the battery. But an advantage of an electric weed eater is you can advertise that you're an eco-friendly um, weed eating and lawn care business. You don't hurt the environment because you're using batteries, gas. That's just an idea, but it's completely up to you. This is just an example I'm showing you. Alrighty, guys. And then another thing that you can look forward, um, weed eater wise, is commercial weed eaters. And I don't think there's really a grade for that, like a grading system, but this is the kind of weed eater that I would consider commercial. And that's Echo weed eaters. I'm sure they have some lower ones and some higher ones. This seems to be a higher one according to the price. Um, as you can see, they're going to cost you just a little bit more money, but in the long run, it may come back to depending on what kind of jobs you're doing. Again, if you're just like weeding around a fence, it may not matter, but if you're weeding a whole bank, it's can matter. It's really all going to depend on the types of jobs you're doing and the type of time period that you're willing to do those jobs in. Also, something else to consider is the more popular of a weed eater that you're going to choose, the more popular parts are going to be, the easier they are to get, the cheaper they are to get, and everything like that. So just something to keep in mind. Something else, guys, to take in consideration. If you're starting out, you don't have a lot of money, you just want to get into it. Um, Another place to look is, of course, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, stuff like that. You can see I just pulled it up and searched, and there's a bunch of different weed eaters. I see electric, gas, a bunch of different brands. Like right here's a whole little mowing set. That'd be a good way to get started. Of course, with Facebook Marketplace and stuff, you're always going to take the risk that it may break, 10 years from when you buy it, or it may break the next day. And you're not going to have a warranty or any way to get your money back if it does break. But if you're willing to take that risk, I would definitely go for it. One other way that I'd like to mention about getting a weed eater and all that kind of stuff is by asking around. Maybe you have some family that doesn't live in the country where they got a weed eat anymore. Maybe they moved in an apartment and they still have a weed eater. Maybe your dad, your grandparents. You probably have to weed eat at your house, so maybe you could ask your dad, say, hey, I want to make some more money if I weed eat our grass for all free and stuff and buy you gas for the weed eater. Can I use your weed eater for my own jobs? That's what I did starting out, is I just used our weed eater at the house and it's worked perfectly fine for me. I'm happy, my dad's happy, and it worked out great for both of us. Alrighty. Um, Another thing that you're going to need for your weed eating business is, of course, a gas can to store your gas and oil mix, your two-stroke mix for your weed eater. So when you go on jobs, you always have it. I would recommend like a 1 to 2 gallon tank for this. There's no real reason to carry a 5 gallon tank of gas everywhere you go. With weed eating, you're not going to go through that much. That'll take forever. And you're at the very, most of the oil mixes are set for 1 gallon or 2 gallon. And for 5 gallons, you have to do the math and everything. And I just don't think it's worth it, but that's completely up to you. But I would recommend just going to your local hardware store, or it may be cheaper online, to just get a gas can like this. Guys, one of the most important things you're going to need for weed eating is, of course, the weed eater string. And this is going to vary between whatever weed eater you buy. But whenever you buy it, it should say on the page that you buy it or on the box that you get it in, if you buy it new. And if you don't buy it new, I would either ask the guy that you bought it off of or do some research. It shouldn't be hard to just look up the name of it, the model, and find whatever weed eater string it uses. But I'd recommend ordering string for most weed eaters. That seems to be the cheapest place to get it. And also, if you watch out, like for instance, I pulled up this weed eater string just at random, and they do have like this little cutter that comes with. You can always stick on like a belt loop, and that does come in handy. That or a pocket knife, it's completely up to you, but just something to think about before you're out there and don't have anything to cut your string with. So we don't want you cracking any teeth on weed eater string. Thing that you're going to need for your weed eating business is going to be some kind of gas oil mix to be able to run your weed eaters. And I just pulled this one up. It's Echo, which is a name brand, so of course it's going to cost more. Especially starting out, I'd make sure you get the off-brand stuff. It's probably cheaper, but you're going to have that to be able to power a most weed eaters. There are some four-stroke, but most of the time they're two-stroke now. So when it comes to getting clients for your weed eating business, the best way that I've found to getting clients is to just go around your neighborhood or your town, wherever you live, and get a pad, like a legal pad or something, and kind of cut out little cards or however you want to do it, sticky notes, stuff like that, and write your name, like I did here, and then your phone number, and then what you're doing. Like if you're doing manual labor, but for this instance, we're using weed eating. So like what you do, your phone number, your name, or maybe an email, however you'd like to get contacted, and then give those out. If you have some examples, maybe some before and after pictures from some previous jobs, you could show them that, and then give them your card. Tell them whenever you need me, give me a holler. Um, Also, you're going to want to give some estimates. If they ask um, how much you're going to charge for that, I would go around the yard, look at where they're wanting weed eated, give them a fair price. I'd look up some or ask around some normal prices in your area of what people are charging for weed eating and all that kind of stuff, and then give them a quote. Um, then also I want to hit on is you'd rather charge less to do the weed eating if they'll get on a monthly occurrence. Like they want you to come weed eat every single month or every single other week, however often they want it weed eated. You may only charge $20 to weed eat a yard. But if you could charge $50 and they may only hire you once, but you'd rather charge $20 every month for a whole year and do it as many years as you want. Also, once you get like, 10, 20 some jobs, that $20 every single time adds up in the long run. Is to get customers for your weed eating business is to put out flyers. You could just ask around, like family, friends, see if their parents need weed eated, their grandparents. Something you got to remember is older people can't weed eat at some point. They can't get around like they used to. So they're going to eventually have to hire somebody. And if you could get in there at the right time, that somebody could be you. Another way is some of the bigger mowing companies are able to charge more because it's commercial and everything. So if you could go to some of the lots where they're doing weed eating and mowing and say, hey, these people do it for 100, I'll do it for 50, and you're helping out a kid, most people are going to want to do that deal instead because it's helping you out more than a business and is cheaper for them during the long run. Some advantages of a weed eating business is it's very cheap to start up. It gives you great networking for if you want to build the business up and eventually become a full landscaping business, mowing business, anything like that. You already have clients that you weed eat for, and if you do a good job, more than likely they're going to want you to mow and maintain their yard to a full extent. And where weed eating is so cheap and it has a low operating cost, it's a good business to keep reinvesting to expand it, whether that's hiring people to weed eat with you or do jobs that you're not at, or that's expanding to get a mower and do all that kind of stuff later on. Now, when it comes to how much to ask or to charge for weed eating, that's 100% up to you and the market of weed eating. That's an agreement that you're going to make up with your customer that you're weed eating for, you know. But when you're starting out, you may start out at 15 bucks an hour or 20 bucks an hour. But if you get in the commercial with many workers where you can get it done really fast, you may get anywhere from like even $2 a minute. I've seen that some people are now charging, which is, $120 an hour. That adds up quick. So, it really varies depending on the job. You can charge per the hour, per hour. You can charge per job, per minute is what some people do. It's completely up to you. But if you guys want to leave a comment below on what you guys charge for anybody that already has a business, what you guys typically charge per the hour or per job, that would be highly appreciated. Alrighty, guys, thank you for watching. Please leave any comments, like questions, concerns, anything about weed eating that you'd like me to answer. Just leave it down in the comments below, and I'll get to that as soon as possible. And please remember to subscribe if you want to see more ways to make money as a teen or as an adult. And thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.